Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this keynote speech that we have for the grand opening of the academic year 25-26 at the School of Architecture, Engineering, Science and Computing, perhaps also with students from other faculties that have been invited. So if that is the case, welcome to join us today. As you know, a very important thing that characterizes life in the university is this intellectual stimulus that we have. So in addition to the regular classes and activities, it is great to have opportunities such as this one to listen, to learn, and to do networking about a very specific topic today. This is what most probably almost everything in the world. So without any further delay, I will let Pedro introduce our speaker today, and I hope you enjoy this keynote speech to open the academic year.
Thank you, Alberto. Well, let me introduce very briefly Jordi Tarrida. I could be speaking a lot about him because he is one of the people in Europe, probably maybe in the world, who better knows about the world of semiconductors. Okay, so he has been working as a CEO and vice president of several companies, several international companies around the world, and now is the senior vice president for sales and marketing in Barbara Technologies, who is a company focused on computing and artificial intelligence in the edge AI. Okay, but today Jordi is going to talk about these things that hardly all the people tell about semiconductors and all the world related this world. Okay, so just the floor is yours. So thank you very much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the speaker.
Thank you, Pedro, and thank you, Alberto, for inviting me, and thank you all for being here. Right. So the idea today, I mean, this is I would say it looks like a Hollywood film or a Bollywood film, very good ones, by the way. The world is global. But my intention today is to shorten your path to get a high experience. So all what I'm going to talk today, it will come strictly directly from my experience. I'm not going to talk to you that I know someone who has done this, I know someone other one who has done that. No, it's direct experience to you. And my goal for today as well is that when we will end up the session, the conference, your brain, boom, will explode. Or at least you will think for a few days, if you are doing the right things, studying the right things, and you are taking the right decisions for your career, whatever it is, but at least you will have more arguments, or I hope so, to make and to take the right decisions. And then we will go into the semiconductors, a journey into the Silicon Valley's Olympus, right? And why Olympus? Let's start to understand where we are. Are we in an industry, or are you studying a career that will allow you to have a better life? Because I guess, and I wonder, that all of you are studying engineering, architecture, economics, whatever the discipline, because you intend to have a better life, correct? And if we study engineering, like myself, I am a telecom engineer, within the professional way, why do I do it? Well, as mentioned before, that things, I can develop my career and I can develop my life. But how? With money. Correct? This is the reason why the end purpose, when you set up a company, a startup, obviously it's because you like it and because you want to make money. If you are a very good engineer or architect or doctor, it's because you like it, and on top of it, because you want to make money. Then it comes the first question. And the first question is, if I want to be successful, I have to be within an environment that allows me to be successful. Correct? If I go into the middle of the desert and I say, no, I'm going to create the best microchip of the world, probably it could happen that I do not succeed. But if I go to Silicon Valley, or now to Texas, or to Mumbai, or Hyderabad in India, where the money flows in for the high-tech industry, I will have more chances of succeeding, correct? As simple as it sounds. But this, what I'm saying, you're going to say, Jordi, what you are telling me, it's obvious, yeah. But it's good to think about it. If I want to succeed, I have to be within the environment that will allow me to succeed. And then I come back to what I told you at the very beginning. At the very beginning, I told you that I hope I will shorten your way to get a high experience. And then throughout, exploding your minds, right? And this is the first slide. Pedro and Alberto gave me 45 minutes. This is the first slide. So let's go for it. First thing, about how much are we talking about? I am in the right industry. I am studying the right career, doing engineering. I'm studying engineering. I'm studying whatever. I am in the right place. The answer is very simple. Yes. And because I know that you do not believe me, I documented everything with figures, just in case you want to ask. This is the GDP of the European countries, right? Germany, 4 trillion. 4 trillion, it's a lot of money, all right? France, 2.8 trillion. Spain, 1.4 trillion, big money, a whole country. Fine. Which is the market capitalization of NVIDIA? 4 trillion. First question, do you believe that all the ones that are sitting here, all of you that came here today, are in the right place? Yes. Absolutely, yes. I am also an example of it. Okay, and now I will tell you why. The semiconductor industry, this is only semiconductors. We should talk about electronic components that doubles the figure, but the figure is already spectacular. This is the development of the semiconductor market throughout the years. You can see the trend up, really up. If I am in an industry that goes up systematically, in my professional life, how is it going to develop? Up, clearly. And not because you are highly talented or not. No, because you are in the right place. I started here. Okay? I promise you that I am an average low engineer. Okay? Average low. But I had the luck of being in the semiconductor market, and today I can deliver a speech to you. I'm really happy because of it. Okay? And this is the first thing I wanted to show to you. The next one, just to position ourselves, to reaffirm the concept that we are in the right place. I ask you, to whomever wants to answer, how much does it cost a semiconductor fab, a semiconductor factory? I don't know, any one of you. Guess it, just say it, shoot. Say something. 1 billion? More? 1 billion? One? More? Less? More? How much? 10 billion. You? Say something. Whatever you like. 200 million. Basically, all of you, except you, are right. a semiconductor factory, one factory, goes, depending on the technology, okay, between 1 billion and 30 billion. And which is the dimension of the 30 billion? 30 billion. Well, I've put a comparison. You know how much is the value of Telefonica? I took Telefonica, as I could take any other one. 25 billion. So with one factory, we could buy any of the companies of the IBEX 35 with one factory. This is, again, to show you, are you studying the right matter? Yes. Are you in the right career? Yes, as I were many years ago. Okay? So now we have clear ideas about this. Then now we enter in the subject of the reality of the Silicon Valley. And let me explain a bit about this. Today, obviously, we will talk a bit about technology, but you know more than me about technology. Okay? You are capable of calculating the Laplace transformator, all the stuff what you want far better than I do. So we will touch the subject of technology, but what I really want you to go deep dive, it's about the reality of the Silicon Valley, the politics behind the Silicon Valley, the financial system of the Silicon Valley, and what is above everything, power. Power. Semiconductors means power. High tech means power. Because one thing, and this I would like you to think about it, one thing is having money. I'm sure all of you are coming from wealthy families or make a lot of money, etc., 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 etc. One thing is having money, and a very different thing is to be the money masters. The money masters. I'm going to ask you another question. The Federal Reserve, is it a public bank? The Federal Reserve is the bank that prints the money, right? And all the other banks, hang from the Federal Reserve, correct? I'm going to ask him. I'm joking. The question is, the Federal Reserve, is it a public bank or a private bank? Say something. Private. Who else? You, for example, private or public? Hey, whatever. Public. Well, he's right. It's private. Private. And they have the power of printing money. The power of printing money. Can you imagine that any one of you could print as much money as you want? So look at the difference. Having money, being the money master. This is power. And how do you consolidate this power? With the military power, with the financial power, the dollar, okay? With the economical power, your real economy, the production, and who supports the military and the industrial production? The high tech. Understand? That's the reason why it's so important to understand this, because if you understand that the high tech supports the real power, then you will perfectly understand which are the megatrends, the technological megatrends. And if you understand what the power is going to decide in terms of high tech megatrends, you just jump into the megatrend and become rich. Sounds simple, no? Okay. Everything, this doesn't not only affect the high-tech industry. This affects all the world. Cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. This guy is Alan Turing. Alan Turing was the one who decrypted the machine Enigma in the Second World War. And I put it in black and white because in 1954, he wrote the first paper on artificial intelligence. Nothing new, the artificial intelligence. And in 1960, the first Turing test was done, that it was 5 minutes, 1960, talking to a machine or a person throughout the telephone and guessing if it was a machine or not. 1960. Now with the computer power, obviously, this has exploded. But what I mean the people here studying economics or studying architecture don't think that it doesn't affect you. It affects you absolutely and directly. Okay, and we had the example of the famous apagón. When we had the apagón here in Spain, everything collapsed due to this. And now, let's focus the conversation on your future. In reality, when you simplify things, you say, okay, how many options do I have when I will end up my university career? Well, you have basically 3 options, no? Either you become an entrepreneur and you set up your own startup or buy a company or whatever, you decide to become an entrepreneur. You become an employee in whatever company. I guess that all of you are studying and doing the sacrifice that you are doing, obviously, to get advantages, no? You are not doing it just to pass the time and to waste your time. Or an investor, you will decide to invest, whatever. These are the 3 options that you have professionally. All of them, obviously, have to be sustained by this, no? The firm willpower of doing things that make things happen. But on these 3 options, you always need the knowledge. And the knowledge is not the superficial knowledge, I insist. It's not what you talk every day. It's what is behind the scenes. And to understand what is behind the scenes, now we will go for it. The opportunity that you all have, you and me as well. I am not 30 yet, but the opportunity is here for all of us. When did they founded their company? The NVIDIA guy, 30 years old. Okay? The 2 Google guys, 25 years old. And you can say, hey, they got all the support of the American administration, and there are things related to stealing the data or whatever it is. Yeah, but they did it. Okay? Before, they didn't get the support of anybody. They had the knowledge, the courage, the willpower to develop a fantastic algorithm. Elon Musk, and the other guy is the guy from Palantir. Okay? 27 years old. Sam Altman created OpenAI with 30 years old, but the first company with 19. It's your time. Steve Jobs, 25. And then the greatest of all times, Alexander the Great, and this is real power, okay? With 25 years, he won the battle of Gaugamela against Darius and become the owner of the master of the world. And with 32, he already had the empire, and afterwards he died. No? What I mean, it's not a question of the age, of the experience, and so on. It's a question of the knowledge and the willpower. Experience helps a lot, yes. But I always say Maradona was winning the world championship with 60 years old. Okay? And me, I've been playing football for 40 years. I'm a disaster. Okay? It's a question of talent and working for this talent. So, me, what I would like, it's you being the next ones in the picture. And this picture tells us more than we can see. This is a small company compared to Microsoft, that is bought by the biggest giant in software, and they paid 10 billion. 10 billion. Now, the deep question. If you were the CEO of Microsoft and your executives tell you you have to buy OpenAI because they are doing things that we cannot do. If you were the CEO of Microsoft, the first thing that you would say, excuse me, we are the biggest company in the world. We have 200 billion cash in the bank. We dedicated 20,000 engineers, the 20,000 top engineers of the world to develop AI, and you cannot do what a startup is doing. Is it true? You are fired. This is what you would say. In infinite resources, and they are forced to buy a relatively small company because they are not capable of developing the technology. So start thinking the possibilities. One, that you have, that's nice. But secondly, what is happening here? I tell you, the business of Sam Altman is the technology. The business of Microsoft is managing the dollar. Managing the dollar. If I cannot do something, I buy it. Okay? Because the money masters will print the money for me to buy it. Attention to what I said. Okay? So we start now with the reality of the Silicon Valley. I don't know how many of you have seen Matrix. I don't know. But there is a scene that you have to choose the blue pill or the red pill. The red pill is and means, here with Keanu Reeves, that I want to know the truth. Let's go for it. Another question. Who is, this is just to blow up your mind, okay? Who is the biggest Silicon Valley's investor? Just say something, doesn't matter. Whatever comes up to your mind. Who? This is a very good spoiler, but it's exactly like this. Usually people, very good university, huh? You go, I mean, this is a deep mind. Thank you very much for the answer. Usually people say, no, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, false, false. The biggest investor in the high tech has been always like this. It's the American administration. Why? I go back to the pillars of power: military, economic, financial, and high tech supporting the military. Who's going to invest in the high tech? The American administration, or the French administration, or the Indian administration, or the Chinese administration. It doesn't matter, right? This is the DARPA, Defense and Aerospace Research Program Agency. And this is an advice that I give to you. If you want to develop a successful project, just go into the website. It's completely open. Eh? Nobody hides himself. Here, you will find the needs for the highest and most advanced technology. You go into there, check what do they want, vision, computer vision, sensors, LIDAR, all comes from here. Everything, everything. So if you want to develop a project that afterwards you can develop a company and being successful and trying to sell it, DARPA. Thank you very much, by the way. And now, to show you how the high-tech world, how the Silicon Valley is organized, and not only the Silicon Valley, the high-tech world, the whole world. If you see these companies here, you see high-tech companies, semiconductor companies, software companies, and you can say, and logistics, supply chain companies as well. Why do you put UPS or DHL and so on and so forth? Well, now let's try to organize it a bit. Look what happened. Semiconductors, software, supply chain, distribution, these are distributors of high tech, and supply chain, which is the common vector. The common vector is that all the companies that you see here are American companies. And you probably say, no, no. Samsung is a Korean company. Because I know that you are not going to believe me, I will show you who are the shareholders, and more important, who's on top of the shareholders. Okay? I advance it to you. On top of the shareholders, there are 4 gigabanks in the world. 4. Okay? BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, State Street. All the rest of the banks, Banco de Santander, BBVA, Bundesbank, whatever, they hang from these 4 gigabanks. And who are the owners of all the semiconductor companies? The usual suspects. Who are the owners of all the important companies of software in the world? The usual suspects. So, what is this? This is a military structure. And I repeat it, this is a military structure. Just for your information, there is only one country in the world who can manufacture all the semiconductor process end-to-end, from the diffusion of the silicon to the packaging and test, which is the United States of America. Any other country who has a semiconductor factory has to do the packaging in Malaysia, Indonesia, and it's not a question of cost. It's a question that they have to put the chips in the plane and sending them 12,000 kilometers away. Okay? Because if there is a problem, boom, they can cut the supply chain immediately. And I'm going to give you an example. This is something, again, that it has happened to me, the people in the electronic components industry. This is the monsoon power supplies. These are power supplies. What has happened? That they found monsoon power supplies within Russian military equipment in the Ukrainian war. And in less than 24 hours, what has happened? I tell you that the complete supply chain across the world was blocked. So they said, no, nobody can sell monsoon power supplies till we go through an investigation because of the military stuff. And then all the distributors who had a stock of these power supplies said, I'm going to sell them at 600% margin and we will make huge profits. No. There was a notification worldwide saying, and you cannot sell any power supply to anybody till we authorize it again. Was it done by the Spanish government or the French government or the Italian government or the Greenland government? No. The order was coming directly from the US administration. And this is it. And here I put you the evidence that when you go into Google, and you can check it, they do not address to the Spanish Minister of Industry, no. They address you to the US Embassy. This is to reflect the reality of what I told you before, but that probably you do not believe me when I say that it's important to understand what is having money, and the other thing is to have power, to be the money master. This will define everything to understanding what do we have to do and what do we not have to do. Again, the semiconductor companies, you can see the flags here. This is the surface. In reality, all of them is American capital. You can see Taiwan Semiconductor. Well, I do not speak Mandarin, but here I cannot read this Mandarin, which reads exactly BlackRock. Okay? It's American. ASML, as you know, you've seen it in the news. ASML is the Dutch company that manufactures the machines to manufacture the semiconductors. And there are 2 in the world, ASML, Applied Materials, and then the Chinese ones, but at a much lower technology rates, right? Is it a Dutch company? The CEO is Dutch, the executives are Dutch, the workers are Dutch, the engineers are Dutch, the owners are American. Okay? Infineon, a German company, that for all the electric vehicles, they do have Infineon IGBTs, right? All of them. You can think that it's a German company. Germany is 16%, US 39%, UK 19%. All this is public. There is only one in Europe that doesn't belong to the, not to the US administration, to the, let's say, the US sphere, right? Which is ST Microelectronics. Why? Because it's a French-Italian company that is the one dedicated to the French military, which is independent, as you know, from since ever, since Charles de Gaulle, from the NATO. That's the reason why it doesn't have a foreign capital. So what are we talking about? We are talking about something really big that is very interesting for you, because if there is money, there will be money for all of you. If there is technology, you will have a lot of fun because you will work in the most advanced things of the world. But we have to understand that it's power. This week, precisely, this week, there are talks between China and the US to understand if they continue hitting each other or not, because the world, and the semiconductor world, it's a global world, a really global one. You cannot develop a semiconductor industry only with what you have in one country or in one continent. You cannot, you need raw materials, critical materials, rare earths, everything. That's for you to visualize it. You know that a couple of weeks ago, Trump told all the Silicon Valley big bosses, come here that you will pay me, you will invite me for a dinner. And he addressed all of them and told them, no, you are going to invest 1 trillion and you 100 billion. And so here, today, it's really evident who is the master, okay? But this is not anything new. You know, this is Joe Biden, and I like this picture because here you see Joe Biden as the boss, no? And this person here from the card trying to convince him, like in the middle age, do you know who is he? He was the Intel CEO. So this image reflects, like the previous one, reflects where the high-tech power is being held and who takes the big decisions. So now that we understand who creates the megatrends, and it's the power that creates the megatrends, which are these megatrends? The megatrends that you have to take advantage of. Okay? We have AI. We all know it's a megatrend, Edge AI as well. Quantum computing will change the world completely as we understand it. Aerospace and defense is a clear reflect because of the wars. It has become a megatrend. And they are supported, obviously, by semiconductors and cybersecurity. But I explained to you one megatrend, the edge computing, Edge AI, how it has been created. It has been created because the world is not any longer a unipolar world. Okay? It's a minimum a tripolar world. And then I ask you, for example, if India wants to become a really independent country, can they afford having their data in the cloud while 70% of the data centers are in the US? Can they afford it? Will they ever become independent? No, no. So the India government decides to move all the data centers into India. Second question, can you afford for all the critical or strategic industries to have the data available to be hacked, particularly with the quantum computers? The answer is no. So the big guys decide that we have to invest in edge computing. Why? To move all the data from the cloud into the edge as much as possible. So as you can see, this megatrend, by who has been created? And this wouldn't be that obvious. It has been created by the money masters. In which industry I am? In the Edge AI industry. Why? Because I know that the money will come in. but it's like semiconductors. When you see that the market is growing and growing, I have to be there, just as information. And now we finish the part of understanding really who commands and how the money flows within the Silicon Valley and the high-tech industry. Now we go a bit into the technology to understand a bit more that I insist. I think you know far more than I do. Technology, really, really complex. That's the reason why it's so expensive. In 5 nanometers, 80 billion transistors. 5 nanometers, try to visualize it. I cannot. I mean, it's so tiny. You put 80 billion transistors. All the process to reach this point, it's incredible. And now we will see it. If you want to develop a chip, the mask, one chip semiconductor, one. Imagine that you want to develop a microcontroller, okay? A 32-bit microcontroller or whatever you want. Minimum, the investment that you will need, you will have to go to your colleague and say, give me $48 million that I want to develop a semiconductor. And if you want to develop one of 2 nanometers, then with one colleague, it's not going to be enough. Okay? We will need many, and we will have to raise plenty of capital. This is to show you what we've seen before. To put 80 billion transistors in 5 nanometers is really, really intensive in capital and in knowledge. This is the whole process, but it's called the industrial process, end-to-end process. Every step of it, it's highly, highly complex. And then I ask you one thing. How many of you have been in a semiconductor factory? Second question. How many of you have been in a factory of whatever? Plastics, I don't know, whatever, oil. Okay. I highly recommend you that you visit factories, as many as you can, because otherwise you will not sense the reality of what an industrial process is. Okay, you are here in the really nice laboratories that you have. You do plenty of tests and you do very good developments, but a factory will change your mind. Okay, a factory will give you the reality of what is needed, that it's not only knowledge. Knowledge is the main ingredient, but will allow you to see, to visualize, and to see your future on all what you need to develop something. So this is a factory of semiconductors in construction. When you visit a semiconductor factory, okay, and I visited many, and I visited factories of every kind, okay? You name it, automotive, aerospace and defense. I've been in Russia, seeing how they were doing the wiring of the missiles, things like this, okay? The most complex one, the most difficult industrial process is manufacturing a semiconductor. And now, so it's really nice. Now we will go for it. I guess I have to. Now you will see a factory inside. Mhm. All right. I hope you like it. Now you have a better idea of the level of complexity of a semiconductor fab and to understand why it's necessary so much capital and so much knowledge. So the question is as follows now. This is the factory and only the factory. But what is behind to fit the factory? Is it an isolated element or it needs plenty of supply from all around the world? Well, the world is global. And for example, these are only the elements that a semiconductor factory needs. So a semiconductor factory in Europe needs to be supplied by China or vice versa. A Chinese semiconductor factory needs to be supplied by Canada or South America or whatever. So all what we are seeing nowadays, that these fights on the tariffs and back and forth and these political fights, from a technological perspective, it's not possible. It's not possible because if, for example, the cobalt or the tantalum from Congo, from the Republic of Congo, doesn't reach the components factories, the world will stop. The world would be stopped. What I want to reflect is that really the industry is highly, highly complex. Everything is complex. You know it. When you have to study, what you are studying, it's complex. It's not easy. You spend plenty of hours studying. There, it starts the complexity. Then, if you want to make a fab, it's really complex. But then if you want to make this fab run, it's still complex because the supply chain, it's this one. On the rare earths, the famous rare earths, the rare earth market, it's worldwide, it's 16.2 billion. 16.2 billion, it's nothing. It's nothing, 16.2 billion. But how much of the worldwide economy affects? It affects 14 trillion. 14 trillion. Remember that the Spanish GDP is 1.4, or the French one, 2.8, or the German one, 4. Only 16 billion affects the production of 14 trillion. Again, everything is entangled. Everything. And this is important to be known. Because imagine one day, and this is a real example, you set up your startup, okay? And you decide to develop electronic equipment for healthcare. Okay, you want to make a robot that operates the liver in a perfect way. And you say, okay, I am the owner. I am the owner of my company. I am the owner of the technology. You have to be careful because you need a supply chain. So you better deal very well with all your suppliers, okay, and with all your partners. Otherwise, you will never have the chance to produce these machines. Did I explain it correctly? How important is saying, no, me as individual, I have the idea, the brilliant idea, okay, of developing a robot for liver surgery. Fine. Make sure that you do not only develop the robot, you take care of all what we've seen here. And this is the point I wanted to reach. The example I wanted to tell you, to show to you. Don't think that whatever you do in your future life, particularly if you want to become an entrepreneur, which I highly recommend, really, you have to understand the supply chain, the complexity, how global it is, and how good relationships do you need to have with your partners. Otherwise, you will have a very nice paper, a very nice project, but cannot be industrialized. And industrializing things is the reality of life. Well, we come back and we reach now the closure. These four things: cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. All of them depends on semiconductors, and they affect the whole world, the whole world. And I hope I've given you a clear idea of you understanding all what is around the high tech. It's not only the idea, it's making it real, it's financing them, finding the capital, and then really taking care of supply chain and partners to make ideals become successful and industrializing them. So we go back to our stairway to heaven, which is the real purpose. Okay, I insist. You are doing a big sacrifice, like I did. For me, it was a nightmare studying telecom, really nightmare. There are still nights that I wake up thinking that I didn't pass the exams of servo systems. This is so I know what you are doing. I know the effort that you are doing. So I do not want you to waste your time. So once you've taken the right decision of studying what you are studying, that you do not get too much lost, okay, in your career path. What is important here, also a concept, you do not have to be too strict, okay? You will make mistakes, like we all do. I will continue making mistakes every day of my life. But I have one thing clear, and it's the direction. Attention what I'm going to say. Please now listen carefully. The important thing, whether you are an entrepreneur, investor, or employee, or in your family, the important thing is not to be excessively disciplined. The important thing is to know where you want to go. Where do you want to go? Do you have a plan for the next 2 years? Do you know where you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to know where you want to be in 30 years? Have you thought about it? Have you done the plan of 2, 5, 10, 15, 30 years? And the day before I die, what do I expect? You can think, maybe you are going too far. If you do not think this way, okay, I'm talking professionally, if you just go, from one side to another without a plan, there will be a moment that you will tell yourself, I'm wasting my professional time. And why I'm not successful? The first thing is that I need to know what do I want to do. So here what I mean, the important thing is direction, not perfection. The important thing, I repeat it, please listen. The important thing is direction, where I want to go in 2, 5, 10, 20, or 50 years, I don't care. Okay, or 3 days. Direction, but not perfection. The important thing is direction, not perfection, because the human being is not perfect. But we are capable of being visionaries, to have a vision of the future, of where we want to go. So, whether you choose one of the 3 simplistically explained options, what do you need to have? Which ingredients do you need? The first one is luck. Luck. You are lucky. You are all here. You are really lucky. I am lucky I am here. Okay? And you can say, luck? Yes, of course. This is the first that you need to be here, as simple as it sounds. You are in the right place at the right time with the right knowledge. Simple idea, but real, no? But you have to be conscious of it. Know-how, the knowledge. Knowledge is the base of everything. Ask Leonardo da Vinci. Okay? And then all what has been the thread of my speech. Please, 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 if you want to be big, the first thing that you have to do, what is it? Think big. Think big. And to think big, what does it mean? Copy the big guys. Copy the thoughts and the strategies of the big guys. Think big. Think big means first understanding what the big guys want to do. And when I say big guys, I'm not talking about the ones around Trump. And I am not talking about Trump as well. I'm talking about the guys above Trump, above Biden, above every one of them. They determine the mega trends. And then you peg to the mega trend and your life is easier. Because you do not make mistakes and you have a clear direction. What I mentioned about the mega trends, self-explained. And then last but not least, please relax. Relax and like, what's your name? Mauro. Like Mauro said, he relaxed, opened his mind and said, clearly, if the big money comes from the top of the top of the top, relax your minds, open it, and then execute. But the first thing to execute correctly is that you have to really have a complete picture of the whole business, the whole industry, and the whole world. Execution doesn't mean that all what we've been talking today here, if you do not do anything, if you are with the mobile there every day of your life or every minute of your life, nothing is going to happen. You will have the knowledge, but knowledge without execution means nothing. And I hope to see many of you here. And I hope this conference is helping a bit to you to be the ones shaking hands with the big, big, big guys. You are in the right place for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordi. I told you you will hear a story that you've never heard before, and I wasn't lying. I think we have some time for questions. So if you have any questions for Jordi.
If you have any question, any curiosity.
Someone has to be the first.
He's in the first course, no?
Hi, my name is Jorge. I'm a teacher here. Thanks for the speak. What's the mentality of the think big if you don't have the money or the capital or the funds in order to do?
That's a good question. Well, look what happens. Money is never a problem. Money is never a problem. The problem is having the idea to be developed, the product, the whatever. The capital markets are pressed of money. They do not know the private equity and venture capital. They are eager to find investments. So there is a pressure of money to invest in startups or projects or whatever, that it's, I would say, infinite. So money is never a problem. Money, I repeat it, is never a problem. It's the last of your problems whenever you have something interesting. More questions? Is one there?
You've been talking about how the US controls the chip supply, which I'm sure, obviously, you will know more than me. But what I've heard, which could be fake news, is that the whole solar panels and everything that we're right now installing in Spain are all Chinese chips, and some in America as well.
Yeah.
And maybe this is true or not. I haven't researched enough to know. They could shut down the solar panels if they wanted.
Correct. Maybe I didn't explain. I've used the example of the West, okay? The West civilization where we are located, just to show you how it works. But remember that the world is not a unipolar world like it was from 1991 when the Berlin Wall fell till a few years ago. The world before 1991 was a bipolar world. The West and the USSR, China didn't have a significance. Then when China opened it to America, okay, they embraced America with a famous sentence of Deng Xiaoping. He said two sentences. And one of them was, because everybody was asking, why do you go with the US rather than going with the USSR? And he said, I don't care about the color of the cat as long as the cat catches mice. Okay, so what he wanted is capital, investment, and so on. But that time, it was a bipolar world. 1991, it becomes a unipolar world. Excuse me for making a bit long, but it's important to understand it. And then what has happened? The West civilization, us, probably went too far. And now it comes to exactly what you said. And then China went up, and the rest of the world, India, Russia, and so on, said, okay, if we cannot deal together, all together, we have to develop our own technology, okay? And they started to develop their own technologies. So when we talk about semiconductors, obviously there are very good factories in the other parts of the world, particularly China, but not at all at the level of the West, okay? Particularly the USA, okay? And then why China dominates the solar cell? Solar cell is the simplest semiconductor technology. So it's not strategic. What you have to think is that when you want to keep the power, what you have to control, okay, are the disciplines of the high tech that allow you to make complex machines. Did I answer you? But don't think that China is going at a really fast speed, India as well, everybody, because they have the knowledge, particularly China and India. They have the engineering knowledge. I was 3 months ago in India. I used to go over there. I am really delighted and impressed about what's happening there. I was in Hyderabad. Hyderabad, it's 11 million people, 11 million inhabitants in Hyderabad. Do you know how many engineers out of 11 million? 3 million. Do you know how many engineers there are in Spain? 900,000. In one city, 3 million. And the proportion is very high, just to give you the comparison. So your question, very good question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain it. Thank you.
Okay. Very nice speech, by the way.
Where are you?
Here.
Sorry.
Very nice speech, by the way. It's the
Thank
first time I see someone try to not only try, but accomplish to show how the world really works. And I wanted to ask you, you know that Oracle is a very like a customer of NVIDIA. And I wanted to ask what was the reason of the increase of their stocks these last weeks, and why like he took the place to Elon Musk, the owner, of being the wealthiest person in the world.
I don't know the answer. Maybe someone here knows why Oracle has gone up so much. I think it's related to exactly what you mentioned, the agreement between NVIDIA and Oracle, and that boosted the price of shares. That, by the way, all of them are at maximums.
Yeah.
So you will become an investor, no?
So
Sorry, no, I don't know, but maybe you know more than, explain it. Maybe you know more than us.
And also I wanted to ask if you think that the stock market is worth it, or it's a game controlled by the big fours.
No, it's controlled by the power. I mean, this is for sure. And then what you have to understand that the way Wall Street works, at least the way I think, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but till now, I do not complain, okay? You need to understand what the big money is going to do. Sometimes, if you have realized, it's the theory of the contrary opinion, no? When all the newspapers start talking, oh, the market, there is a bubble, this and that, it's because they want all of us to sell our shares they buy them cheaper, and then they sell them to us again at a higher price. As simple as it sounds. To me, I mean, maybe now I go too far. I don't know if you want to record this, okay? But to me, the stock change, or at least the way I understand it and the way I invest in it, okay, I'm talking about reality. I put my money there, okay? It's in line with what you mentioned. It's the way that the elite takes the money from the middle class. Why? Now, where do I go? Why? Because when we save money, for example, you are an investor and you make 200 million, 300 million, I don't know. And then you continue investing. But the ones who control the trillions, BlackRock controls how many trillions? 18, I don't know, how many? 13 trillion. When you have this money in the pocket and you say, no, I'm going to buy, for example, an energy company because I see the trend goes upwards. Be careful, because if the guy from BlackRock says, no, I'm going to put the stock price down and then I will buy cheap, you need to understand this. And then it's to you to decide if you sell or not, or wait. Just one thing, if it can help. I planned to tell you some books, but I'm going to tell you one book. It's a book from 1947, The Intelligent Investor. The Intelligent Investor, from Benjamin, I don't remember. It was the coach of Warren Buffett. Okay? And then this will answer your question.
So that was my question. Do you believe in the stock market, or you just think we are like playing their game? And if we should play with them or try our own?
You have two options in life. Okay? On all what we are talking about, you have two options and one fixed parameter. The two options is, or that I adapt myself to the world I live. Okay, we are living in the Western world, and I adapt it and I accept the rules. Second, you become a revolutionary, and you want to change everything. Correct? You have these two options. But on the two options, you need one thing in common, which is knowledge. Understand? If you want to make a revolution, go for it. But you need the knowledge. You need to know how things work really. And if you want to take advantage, that it's what you and I looks like that we want to do, then you need to understand the system as well. The Intelligent Investor, Benjamin Graham, it was the coach who trained Warren Buffett.
Well, I think we are not on time.
There is another question.
Last question? Yeah.
You were talking of how the newspaper can affect the stock market, which is something that tends to happen. Do you recommend any sources of information that tend to be truthful? Like,
yes, I guess most of you, like myself, do not use the traditional newspaper network, because you know that they will tell you what they want to tell you, not the truth. Yes, I highly recommend it. Thank you for the question.
So thank you very much, Jordi, for your impressive story. And please accept this humble gift for you. Thank you.
Thank you all. Namaste, namaste.